Welcome to the Swinburne Professional Staff Podcast with Kristy and Nic, made by professional staff for all Swinburne staff. Well, hello, I'm Kristy Horn and I'm one half of your podcasting duo, and I hope you're having an awesome day so far. Before we dive into today's episode, one which we know you're going to love, it's my absolute joy to welcome to the mic the always inspiring, endlessly brilliant and downright wonderful Nicola Howard. Hello, Nicola.
Hello, Kristy. And I never can hear that enough, that intro. That's wonderful.
Do you like it?
Yeah, every time we do the podcast, it's just a nice little, thank you.
And I like to change it up too, so it's not always the same. Yeah. Because I don't want you getting too comfy on those words.
That's it. And you never know what other words you're going to start to use to talk about me. So I better keep making sure that I'm reading the show notes.
It's whatever ChatGPT comes up with.
That's it. Okay. So, thank you. And it's great to be here. And hi to all our listeners, and a big hello to all our new listeners, and in particular our colleagues at all other campuses, including Sarawak campus, but more on that later.
Yeah, we do have some more on that later, and that's pretty cool. But I'm wondering, dear listener, can you tell the difference? Do you know where we are right now? It's pretty cool because today we are recording from the Swinburne studios, and normally we record over Zoom or Teams, but today we're in the studios and it's a first for Nicola. So how are you enjoying being in the booth?
Yeah, I wasn't really sure what to expect, and it's not as claustrophobic as what I first thought, but the beige of the walls is it's not distracting at all, I guess. Everything's neutral. And I just noticed that we're both wearing black, so we got the memo.
Yep, again.
But yeah, it's really good. It's like having a conversation because we don't have the worry of technology with Zoom or Teams. We can see each other. It's just having a conversation with us, with our hopefully thousands of listeners.
Yeah, we do have plenty of listeners. But it is kind of cool in the studios, and the feeling is dense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it feels thick around you. I'm not describing it really well for our audience, but it's like being in a bank vault with a big, thick, heavy door with padded walls and all this IT equipment.
A very bright if I can say that word, the fluoro lights.
Yeah.
Very bright, which is, probably good that we're not video podcasting and just audio podcasting.
Yeah, not on this one.
Yeah, not good lighting for that. But, and I was actually thinking not a bad space if you could just need some quiet time. I don't know if we could get away with that, but I think it's when you come in and lock the door behind you, it's a little bit like, oh, no one can get in here.
And this is the big studio. So this is the 4-person studio.
Wow.
And then there's other studios here that are just for 2 people. So if you haven't been up here before to have a look at the media area, it's really, really cool. And the space is available to all staff, depending on, if it's not booked out for students, but you book on a system online, and the team here are super duper helpful. But tip, get here early so you don't have to get stuck in a big fat long line. So
perfect. Well, I think we better crack on with the episode. We've only got an hour in the studio booked, so we need to make sure we won't hear anyone banging on the door. So we need to make sure we keep an eye on the time. So,
just ignore them anyway. No, I don't joke.
So we are shaking things up a little bit today because we are in the studio, and also it's just the 2 of us. So this is the first time we've actually just had a podcast with just the 2 of us. But please, listeners, don't go away just because we don't have a special guest. We've got lots of things that we'd like to share with you today.
Yeah, that's so true. It is kind of weird. But I kind of like it, just you and I in here. It's nice, isn't it?
It seems like our normal conversations that we have on a regular.
Yeah, but some of the discussion topics that we've got to chat to you guys about today, and one of them is a topic that I love, and it's called the best laid plans. And this year we have had a really good year with the Swinburne Professional Staff Network. We've had a really good activity plan, mix of coffee catch-ups, lunch and learns, the podcast. We had a lunch and learn come from the Waddle team, so that was sort of one that wasn't planned. And we've had some plans slip across. We're going to move across to next year. So the end of this year has just slipped away, and I feel like that's probably the same for absolutely everyone. It gets to October and it's just like, oh gosh, freaking out because December's looming. But that's okay. Don't you worry, because we've got plenty lined up for 2025. And what we wanted to kind of chat about is, what worked really well this year for the Swinburne Professional Staff Network, and what we got, lined up for next year.
Yeah, it'd be really great to get some feedback. Yeah. I think we get some really good chats going in the Viva Engage posts, but it'd be really nice if people even want to reach out to us personally and just let us know if there are things that they want to look for us to organise, or especially if people want to be organised and come and help us to either lead an event or be part of an event.
Don't be shy, everyone.
Yeah.
Do not be shy.
Write an article. Interview someone else, maybe be on the podcast.
Yeah.
So plenty of opportunities for connecting with peers here and, outside of Swinburne as well.
Really encourage that. There is a really good network of Swinburne Professional Staff Network, and all professional staff are part of the network. There's, like we said before, there's no membership, there's no initiation. It's just you are part of it, and there's a fantastic collection of, I don't know if that's the right word, of professional staff at Swinburne. And I've been here for 7 years. You've been here for
13 and a half now.
So between us, what does that equal? It's like 20 odd.
Over 20 years.
Yeah, right.
No, don't make me do the math.
There's a calculator.
It's doing the girl math.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is I know so many unreal people at Swinburne, and everybody's welcome and everybody's part of this, the Swinburne Professional Staff Network. Yeah. So how about we talk about some of the awesome people that we've got lined up for 2025, because we are kind of like starting to shift gear mentally, even though we're not there yet. We are sort of starting to map out what we're going to do next year. And
we've really got to lock people in early. So
yeah.
And also sometimes, professional staff, we're not very good at, talking ourselves up or putting ourselves in the spotlight. And so when we reach out to people, sometimes it takes 6 to 8 months for us to convince people to put themselves or their teams in the spotlight and to talk about themselves. So that's, I guess, something that you've been really good at, Kristy, because you've just, put the feelers out. People are like, oh, I'm not really sure. I don't think people are interested. And then, over time they're like, actually, yeah. And you've been able to build them up until they can commit and go, yeah, actually, I've got something to say.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Sometimes it's just planting the seed, isn't it? And you're just going from like my point of view, because I'm a curious person. It's like, hang on a minute. I know you and I know you've been here for a while or whatever, but I love the work that you do, and I'd like to shine the spotlight on that. Yep. So and sometimes it does take a little while to get people over the line, or to give them confidence to go, I can be on the podcast. So and when they come off, and the stories that we hear from other people around campus, I just absolutely love that. So just thinking about who we've got lined up for our guest list for next year. Nic and I thought we would shake things up a little bit and not have a guest every episode, because, we want to talk about us a bit more.
Well, not us specifically, but maybe what's happening in the professional staff network and opportunities coming up. But a little bit about you. But
we'd be guided by other people too. If there's anybody that you think should be we should chat to on the podcast, please put them forward, and we'll put them through the very strict,
Yeah. Do we want to give people a bit of a sneak peek at who's on our
definitely.
wish list?
So next year we are definitely speaking to Sara Webb, and she's an astrophysicist here at Swinburne, and you might know her from all of the stuff that she does on TikTok. She does a lot of media, and we have actually spoken to lots of people in her area. So Alan Duffy, and also the multi-award winning Professor Matthew Bales. And they've just
we knew him when. Yeah.
It'd be great to chat to her. And so she has also agreed to be on the podcast next year. Also, we have got Joel, I can't pronounce his surname, Boojers, I like to call him.
He says it the best way.
Yeah. I know he's listening, and he'll probably be rolling his eyeball. Sorry, Joel. But yeah, he's from the Moondani Toombadool Centre, and we've already pre-met with him, and he has got the best podcast lined up. It's going to be fantastic. It's about storytelling. We're really excited to have Joel join us next year, so we've got him locked in. I reckon he might even be kicking it off in Jan, Feb.
Yeah.
When we come back, yeah. And then we have also got Mai from Gomez joining us. She has verbally agreed. She's a bit nervous, but do you know what? She has got the most amazing story to tell, and I was just I've had 2 really lengthy conversations with her in the last couple of weeks. I go there every day for my coffee. I just think that she is such a huge part of the Swinburne community. She's a connector. People go there every day. She knows everybody's orders. She's so kind and welcoming, and so's Anne, her barista. So I really can't wait to speak to her. And we're thinking we might even record that live at Gomez.
Yeah, definitely where there's coffee involved, I think is good.
Don't you reckon that'd be fantastic?
Yeah, there's no coffee allowed in the booth. So let's
no drinks allowed.
Let's go on the road. I think that'd be great.
Go on the road. Yeah.
We're going on the road.
Be our first OB outside broadcast. So
well, speaking of going on the road, if only.
If only. We're planting the seed early.
Yeah. Well, Sarawak has a 25-year anniversary coming up next year, and we've been very, humbled for them to reach out to us and for us to be part of their 25-year anniversary and create a podcast. And we had a bit of a chat with them yesterday, a few of the staff there, and yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. So once that's known, and that'll form part of their celebration.
Yeah.
So we did say it would be much better if we came and did the podcast live
at Sarawak.
But you know, that's
I agree with that. And if anybody out there has got some, spare funds or whatever,
to sponsor us.
There you go, sponsor. We're looking for a sponsor to go to Sarawak. And one of the when we were sort of just talking about some of the topics and who the amazing people that we might get to speak to at Sarawak, one thing was kind of discussed, and that was a Sarawak marathon, a podcasting marathon. So then it went from that to, perhaps it could be a 25-hour podcast.
I don't know.
I love that idea.
Yeah, I don't think we'd make listeners listen to 25 hours. It would be cut. But yeah, I think it's, we did talk about doing a series because there is a lot of staff there that have been there for the full time. There's some new staff. We talked about the student experience angle as well. Students that are coming to Sarawak from Hawthorn especially, and then other students from Sarawak who come to Hawthorn, what their experience has been, the wonderful alumni experience. So, yeah, so many different, and also then an opportunity for them to talk about what activities they've got to celebrate. There's a big gala that'll be around, the time of graduation. So I think it'll be a great opportunity and, really nice. And they're often the first ones to comment on the podcast once they've been published. So it'll be really nice to make that connection.
Yeah, I think so. And I love the idea of speaking to the exchange students. How cool would that be? But also when we were chatting to them yesterday, they were talking about how they've got alumni working with them as professional staff. So there's just so many connections there. So that's going to be a fantastic time for them and us when we get to go to the gala in October.
Yes, I wouldn't start looking at dresses just yet.
But I wanted to also talk about something that you've done this week, which has been pretty cool, Nic. And do you want to tell us a little bit about your LinkedIn article that you've written? And
I shared it on Viva Engage in our Professional Staff Network channel about habit stacking. And it's something that I've been trying to, put my finger on. And then, I think James Clear talks about it in Atomic Habits. So it's, instead of just trying to do one thing, it's like, how do I add something to that? So I had some, non-work related examples where every time I go, if I'm working from home and I put the kettle on, I use that as an opportunity to do some squats or do some push-ups against the bench. My dog wonders what I'm doing, but, at least it means that if I'm stopping and having a cup of tea, I know that I have to do some 10 squats.
Okay.
So it's like, how can you add to what you're already doing. So if you're already going to get a cup of coffee in the morning, you come back to your desk. What are you going to do while you're drinking that coffee? Oh, I'm going to clear my inbox. While you're clearing your inbox, let's think about what are the things that have come through. How do I prioritize? Do I do my top 3? So it's all about how do you stack your habits so you're not thinking of things, you're grouping it and it becomes second nature. So you go into autopilot. So we don't think about when we walk past Gomez and we go in to get coffee. We just know we're doing it. So it's like, how do we add habits and stack them so that it doesn't feel like a chore? So it's a little bit like when we do our walks on a Tuesday, our hot laps. It's like, well, we know that we're going to do our walk. So do we want to talk about something in particular?
Okay.
Do we want to have a meeting? Oh, well, I know that I want to increase my steps. So do I say to my colleague, right, rather than us meeting in a meeting room, because how hard is it to book a meeting room these days? We just say, okay, let's go for a walk. And it doesn't have to be around the park, but it could be just around the building. It could be just to stand outside, somewhere different if you don't have to have a screen. But it's like, how do you add and, stack your habits?
I'd never heard of it before. We discussed about this and then I saw the article that you'd written and I read the article that you'd written, which was really good, by the way.
Thank you.
But I had never heard of habit stacking before. And then when you mentioned that to me, it's just like, oh, yeah, actually I do that when I'm brushing my teeth.
Yep.
I'll try and do some lunges or do a little bit of stretching, hip flexor stretching. So, yeah, I didn't realise that I did that. Yeah. And I didn't know that that's what it was called. So I wonder if anybody else has does something like that. Really encourage people to, share with us what are your habit stackers. What do you do?
Tips and tricks. It's really important. I think that's one of the good things about the network and just being colleagues, sharing these things and learning. I think that's where I get the most out of when someone says, oh, yeah, and then, I do this and you're like, oh, I never thought of that.
Never thought about that, yeah.
Everyone buys those really big water containers.
Yeah.
What are they? What's the Stanley's, is it? The Stanley cups?
Oh, yeah.
You can put, 2 litres or whatever it is in there, and I keep seeing all these funny videos where they're holding these massive cups. It's like, but if you want to increase your water, but you also want to increase your steps, you'd use a smaller cup. So you have to get up more often to fill it. And so you're taking a break from, getting that opportunity to be thinking outside of your work, getting away from your desk, especially if you're, in the office and you're just not getting any quiet time. Sometimes it's those moments in between where you bump into someone in the kitchen or, you're going for a walk, you have those conversations that then lead to something else. Sometimes you get caught and you get given 3 or 4 different tasks. That's, depends on your role. You have to put your blinders on. I'm just here for the water. Scheduled to talk to you later. But it's often those things where it's just going into autopilot. And I think that's what I liked about that habit stacking. That's just.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that too. So well done. I love a LinkedIn article and it does really well too, doesn't it? So people have been commenting and saying, this is what I've been doing or that's what I've been doing. So it'll be interesting to hear what other people have been doing. Another topic that we wanted to chat about today, and this is something that we spoke about last week and then it kind of snowballed into something else, but it was about finding joy in your role. Everybody's got their role but there's some things in your role that are really joyful and it's like, sorry, did you hear that squeak?
That was very joyful.
But how we stay passionate in our work and some of the little things that make a big difference in our roles. And I can speak personally, podcasting for me and has been something that's brought me so much joy and didn't know how much joy, 5 years ago. Thank you, COVID. But podcasting for me brings me heaps of joy. And now I've been able to weave it into my role with podcasts for obviously the Swinburne Professional Staff Podcast, but also the Centre for Social Impact has its own podcast as well, which is unreal. We just released a new episode yesterday if you're interested.
And then you've got your own podcast that you do with your cousin.
Yeah, 2 Cousins, 1 Chat, free plug there. And that's my cousin Ben and I, and we talk about just all sorts of stuff between. He's in Adelaide, I'm in Melbourne, so we talk about everything in between. So it's a really good fun podcast. And it's just,
you've had some wonderful guests on that one as well.
Yeah. In fact, tomorrow, actually this Sunday, we're recording our Christmas episode, and that's with Tim Bone. And Tim Bone was on MasterChef, and also he's the new host of Ready Steady Cook.
Oh,
and he also has Tim's Toasties.
Oh, yeah, I know the Toasties.
Yeah. So he has, if you haven't checked it out, check out his Insta page or Facebook. He makes the best toasties. And so, we're talking about food and food sustainability, food waste and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's great. I can't wait to hear that one.
It's going to be a ripper. But also not only podcasting for me, but the people that I get to work with, so incredibly supportive in every area that I work with at Swinburne. And I've worked in so many different areas with a lot of different research centres and groups. But everyone's been super incredibly supportive of my role. So that's where I find the joy for me. What about you, Nic?
Yeah, I think it's important too to say, sometimes we've just got those things in our roles that we just don't like to do, the things that you have to do. And so what gets me through those times is the joy. Like, you need to fill your cup. And so for me, it could be, and sometimes you can't find joy in your role. There are people out there that are just working and they're in roles. They've just happened to be in those roles. Could be for a short term, or they've changed roles and they're just still trying to find their feet. And so how do you keep yourself motivated and keep filling your cup, especially in roles that are quite demanding? Some of the front-facing roles, for example, student administration, or other roles where you're constantly on for the day. Like, it's really hard to then find a little bit of joy there.
True.
So things like my graphic recording or digital drawing, or just being creative in general. This podcast is something I never thought that I would be doing. So again, another form of creative expression, I guess.
Yeah.
And it just helps you. It helps you through those back-to-back meeting days where you feel like it's 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, and you're not getting anywhere. But to know that, like today, that we'd booked this session, and then I can go back this afternoon and feel a little bit more revved up and ready to go because I've had that break. I've done something that's given me joy, and then this afternoon it's like, bring it on.
Yeah, you've got it.
Yeah.
Another thing that's bringing me joy, and I absolutely love, and I love the enthusiasm for everyone else, is the hot laps. So every Tuesday, Nicola and I, do hot laps around the Rocket Park. Everyone knows the Rocket Park. It's called, what's its proper name?
I've always called it
something
Rocket Park.
Gardens. Anyway.
It's next door.
Yeah. Everyone knows the Rocket Park. It's proper name. And we started a couple of weeks back, 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, do a couple of hot laps around the park just to get away from our desk, get some fresh air and just stretch the legs. And then just recently we've changed it to every Tuesday at midday. So that aligns better with everybody's lunch break. So you can come out, bring your lunch, whatever. We normally do 3 laps. We're done in 20 minutes back at your desk, sort of in half an hour. I'm actually really, really enjoying that. And I'm so sad that I missed it last week.
Yeah, you should have been there. Tracy and I walked 4 laps.
Did you? Oh, wow.
Yeah, we outdid ourselves.
Great.
But you start talking and you're like, how many laps have we done? And you just forget. And
let's do one more.
Yeah, I said, do you feel like another one? She said, yeah, okay. So we did another one. So it was great.
Oh, good on you. So the first week it was just Nic and I. And then the next week we had another person join us. And then the next week we had 2 other people join us. And then the next week there was 5 of us. And then the week after that, it was just me going solo. But then I saw some other people walking in the other direction that were in our group from the week before.
They'd gone without you.
They didn't want to walk with me anymore.
Like, we're sick of you talking about AI.
Yeah. But I'm a slow walker because I've got dodgy knees. Yeah. So, but it's good to get out and do walking. So if anyone sees me walking, you'll always catch up. And then next week we'll be back to our midday. So I'm really loving it.
Yeah. And a few people have already reached out from my old team and student admin to say, yep, because it was clashing with a regular meeting they have at 2:00, and now I've moved it to 12. There's no excuse. So they're going to come. But I think it's great, and we you get to talk to people that you normally wouldn't get to talk to.
Yeah.
There's no pressure. Like you said, I walk pretty slowly as well. Yeah. And then just the things that we've talked about, like co-pilot and.
We did, didn't we? Yeah. What else have we been talking about? We just bang on about anything really.
Kids and husbands and other.
Shoes. We talk about shoes.
Yeah, shoes, what proper sneakers to buy. So I took all that advice and I've got some new ones. Dogs, all sorts of things, not just work related. We try not to talk too much work because I think it's good to take that break.
Yeah.
But it's been really good.
Yeah, I loved it. So I reckon we're just going to keep it up. So it's in the diary. It's a recurring entry for us. So every Tuesday at 12 o'clock. How you going over there? You enjoying this podcast so far?
Yeah, so far so good.
Yeah, that's good. We're getting through all of our conversation topics.
I know. It's good to be prepared.
Yeah, we are very prepared because we're professional. All right, what's coming up next?
Now, do you have a job update?
I do.
You want to talk about?
I want to tell everybody.
Sounds really serious.
I have a job update. So there are some changes coming in 2025, but really good changes, and I'm super excited to say that I am scaling back to 3 days per week. So I'm I've been at Swinburne this is my 7th or 8th year, I can't remember. But anyway, so I'm scaling back to 3 days a week. And I'm really looking forward to it. My partner, Howie, he's already retired. So it'll give us a bit more opportunity to spend more time together and take longer weekends away. What it will mean, though, is that after 7 years, I will be no longer working with the Customer Experience and Insights Research Group. They were the team that brought me to Swinburne. So I'll be ever grateful for Carla Ferraro and Sean Sands for, picking me to come and work with them. And, and so over the next couple of weeks, we'll sort of hand over my role to somebody else in the AGSC team. And so I'm really excited to be scaling back. How about that?
Oh, it just sounds wonderful. 3 days a week.
So it means I'll be working Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'll be just working with the Centre for Social Impact.
Yep.
So my role with the Centre for Social Impact is marketing, comms, events, media, whole range of stuff, industry engagement. And I love it. I love my work with CXI as well, but I couldn't split the 3 days between the two. And, so I think that the bulk of the work was with the CSI team. And that will be me for 2025. Doesn't mean the podcast is going anywhere. So the podcast is
still do hot laps if you're going to be in on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right. So that's good. I do have another podcast launching in 2025 with an international author. So stay tuned for that one because I'll be banging on about that too.
Excellent. I'm very pleased to hear that. Yeah, I'm a bit jealous about that. The 3 days. Yeah. Although my partner hasn't retired yet, so maybe I'd get some peace during the week. Yes. No, it's going to be a long time.
Oh dear. So let's talk about some skills and talents because we had another fantastic idea, a discussion topic about the skills and talents of people at Swinburne. We want to hear from you. What hidden skills and talents do you have and what can you bring to the table?
It's the conversations that you have with people that are always so surprising, that they speak different languages, that they're musical, and you're talking to them and you've been colleagues for years and then all of a sudden you realise, I didn't know you could play the piano, and why would you? Because it just doesn't come up.
Never, yeah.
And so, different people that have, either got a side hustle or they used to do it and then, they've continued to do that as something that, on the side. And like you said, it's like, what is that that's bringing them joy? Like something, if it's a hidden talent or a skill that you've got, and sometimes the skill can be work related. Often people will be experts in a different software or, they're experts in facilitation or something like that. And so, definitely want to start highlighting some of these skills and talents from people and, thought about doing some more lunch and learns. And so opportunities to share
definitely
these hidden skills and talents and start really putting a spotlight on people again. And, and then it's like you sort of just like you can share that information and then go, so-and-so also does that. Next minute we've created a band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, these people, they all speak Spanish or they all speak Italian, and then they wouldn't know each other other than that. So, and I think it's good. We've got a couple of things lined up and they haven't committed yet, so we probably won't talk about it, but some nice surprises before the end of the year.
But we have got one really cool surprise that we've got lined up. We can't announce it just yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. But Kate McKay, who's just recently left Swinburne, she's a DJ in her other life. Do you know what I mean? So
it's just crazy. And looking at Kate, you would never pick that she's a DJ. Hi, Kate.
Yeah,
listening.
She will be listening. Yep. I know she will be. But, that's really cool. I love that. So you've got your drawing, which is absolutely fantastic. And you've done stacks of that over the years. And
that's crazy because I did a Bachelor of Education in Visual Arts, so technically could have been a secondary teacher if I'd gone down that path, but just chose not to.
Yeah, right.
Something about teaching teenage boys was just not for me.
Was there a sliding doors moment for you?
Yeah, I was either going to be a carpenter or a secondary art teacher. And if I didn't get into Melbourne Uni via folio interview, then that was my fallback, because I went to a technical school, so it was all about, on Mornington Peninsula, so it was all about getting a trade. And there was very few of us that went on to uni.
All right. So you were thinking about being a carpenter.
Yeah. Fantastic. And now my body just wouldn't have back problems and stuff. I would have been a great supervisor of other carpenters. But I've always been really good at learning and doing with hands and that type of work. And so, just being able to adapt that to drawing and other creative things like making things, like anything like that requires a bit of free thinking.
Yeah. How can people see some of your work, Nicola?
I do have an Instagram which needs a little bit of work, but it's Visual Lala. So maybe I can pop that on the show notes. Yeah.
Do you take any requests? I mean, I know I've asked you to do stuff for CSI before and I love it and it still stands to this very day.
Yeah, I've done some things before. I think there was some things I did for the Engineering Academy back in the day for an open day. Did lots of drawings for them and they're always in my own time.
Yeah.
It's, we used to do the Friday morning cross-unit collaboration sessions where we used to have an information session for staff across the university and I used to free draw the graphic recording during the session.
Yeah, I remember being at one of those with John Hopwood.
Hopwood.
Hopwood. Yeah. And you did that. That was brilliant.
Yeah, and then I'd just give it to the speaker at the end. And so I'd be walking around campus seeing my work up on different people's offices, which was kind of cool. And just
really cool.
Just the, the key concepts of their talk and just that it's like a time tunnel. So you look at it and you remember what they said because you can look at the images and remember and just triggers that memory of what those what the conversations were about. And so, I really enjoy that. I like listening to podcasts or sessions or development sessions and just pulling that out. I think it's a really good skill for listening as well. But that's, something. And, even when I was at a conference last year for HOSA, the Heads of Student Admin Conference, I got to go, sponsored by People and Culture. It was a really great opportunity.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
At the breakfast bar, one of the student administration registrar and director and registrar from Deakin spoke to me at the buffet, the breakfast buffet.
Oh, right.
Goes, just want to let you know I'm a really big fan, and I'm like, pardon? He goes, I really like your work on LinkedIn and your graphic recording. And then I've looked at who was the current director at that time and she's just looked at me like, what?
That's so good.
Yeah. So, so it's good.
You also did the logo for the SPSN Network podcast when it was Kristy and Nic.
Yep.
Do you think we might get a new one?
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually,
what do you think?
I probably should renew it with a picture of you and I. So.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. I'll pop that on the list.
Great. All right, it's on the list. Fantastic. Well, I reckon we have just about ticked off everything that we wanted to chat to our amazing audience today.
I am very surprised that we have covered all of our topics. We did really well in the time.
Yeah, but we do want to hear from our audience and what your special skill is and what you bring to your role that is something unique. I bring my unique podcasting skills.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're connecting and you're
super connector.
So positive all the time.
Yeah. You rolled your eyes there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well.
That's good. It's good because I think it's good when you've got somebody who's super positive and if you're having a bit of a down day.
You can always tell me to bugger off.
No. And especially if you're a people leader too, you can't – sometimes you can't let that out. Like if you're having a bad day, you sort of have to internalise it a lot. So sometimes having someone who's super positive from outside of your work area helps to pull you out of that darkness.
The funk, yeah.
And just go, oh, yeah, actually, it's not as bad as what I first thought. You just talk it out.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have the conversation with someone who also wants to vent and then takes you even further into the dark. So, yeah, so it is good. And then that person who's, doesn't have to be positive all the time. You can then be that for them. I think that's good. Okay, so that's just about wraps up this episode. We hope you enjoyed the convo. We definitely did, and we could probably go for hours. But yeah, now we know for next time, that who needs a guest? No. No, I'm just kidding.
That's really funny. I reckon we can roll out one more podcast before the end of the year and maybe we'll have a surprise guest. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Let's do that. Yeah. We'll bring him into the studio.
It could be you.
Yeah. Well, that does wrap up this episode. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Are you all still there? Hope so. We hope you enjoyed the discussion today. And remember, you can always listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Swinburne Commons, YouTube. Are we on Spotify? I don't know. We're all over the joint, but we'll put all the links into Beaver Engage and we'd love to hear from you guys. So until next time, thanks for listening and see you later.
Bye for now.